In the United States, companies are taking action against a new abortion law in the state of Texas. Web domain company GoDaddy has taken down a site which allows people to anonymously post tips about possible abortions. Rideshare companies Uber and Lyft say they will cover legal fees for their drivers who are sued. And dating apps Bumble and Match are creating a relief fund for people affected by the law. The legislation bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. There are no exceptions in cases of rape or incest. A Supreme Court ruling left the controversial law in place. Bruce Fein joins us now. He is a constitutional lawyer and a former general counsel of the Federal Communications Commission under President Ronald Reagan. So, Bruce, is the Texas abortion law constitutional?
Probably not. If you read the several opinions of the Supreme Court that refrain from imposing a stay, it is clear that this decision was not to be interpreted as ratifying the constitutionality of the law, which would overturn really over 50 years of double precedence of certainly during the 6-week period giving women the right to have an abortion after consultation with their physicians. The pivot of the High Court's decision was that the person sued, a state court judge, was not the person who was trying to enforce the law. It's a very odd law that delegates to the public at large the right to sue people who are obtaining abortions in violation and receive $10,000 bounties. But no such prosecutions or initiatives had been begun, and the suit was against a state judge. And the Supreme Court made it quite clear in its opinion that it was not affirming the constitutionality of the law, simply saying this procedural posture is not the way to do it.
So, Bruce, what happens now? The law is in effect in Texas. It looks like the fight will go to lower courts, but could this come before the Supreme Court again? I mean, is this the end of the line for this particular case?
No, I think the case clearly will come before the Supreme Court. Now, one of the things the High Court has said that only itself can overrule a precedent, meaning the key cases are called Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Danford. A lower court cannot overrule those cases, and those cases clearly make the Texas law unconstitutional, without a doubt. So what, in my judgment, will happen is that the lower courts will have to say they're unconstitutional based upon existing precedent, and the case will go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and Texas will argue that these precedents, Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Danforth, should be overruled. I think that's very problematic, but it's conceivable. The court also has a case from Mississippi on its docket, where Mississippi has asked the court to overrule Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. And that case, I think, would certainly probably govern the Texas situation. But the bottom line is this case is going back to the Supreme Court. It's just a matter of when, not if.
So, Bruce, does this, though, create an opening for other states that may or will try to follow Texas to make their abortion laws stricter at all? Do you see that happening?
Yes, that's already underway. But these states have to remember that if they lose this litigation, they have to pay the lawyers' fees of the plaintiffs. Also, I think in the background, it's important to remember that what has not been challenged is the right to any woman to travel across state lines to a liberal abortion state and obtain an abortion without any impediment whatsoever. So the impact of the ruling will be on the poor and impoverished. Families or women who have means will simply travel to another state for the abortion.
All right. Bruce Fein, always great to see you. Thank you so much for that insight.